Hello and welcome to the March 2025 product launch. I'm Lynette Schaefer, and today we have some amazing new products to introduce you to. We also have a few line extensions, which are kind of exciting as well. These products range from lamps to drivers to luminaires. So we get to kind of talk about everything today, which is kind of a nice surprise. So our first product is the Double Life A19. Now, this is a new family of Double Life A19s, and they are perfect for replacing traditional 40, 60, 75, and 100-watt lamps, especially in residential and hospitality applications. These are ETL, FCC, RoHS, and they are also backed by the 3-year trusted warranty. Now, this product is absolutely amazing for California because it meets the California Electric Code, CEC. In case you ever see CEC, it means California Electric Code. It also meets Title 20 and JA8. As a matter of fact, this is the first family that is qualified for JA8, which is pretty amazing for those folks that are in the California market. This product is also okay to be used in wet location and also great for outdoor areas that are exposed to elements, as well as indoor locations like showers and where water can maybe splash and maybe potentially flow onto the light fixture. These lamps are going to be fine for that application. Now, these lamps are a filament style. They are available in 5, 8, 11, and 13 watts. These are dimmable with a 90+ CRI, and they are also dimmable via triac dimmer. So as I was saying, where these are actually used at for dimming would be any wall backs or wall mount type dimmer models. Primarily the Lutron C-L dimmer models, as well as the Leviton Illumatech, the Decora, and the Shure slide dimmer series, as well as Legrand Radiant models. These dimmer models are great because they really do kind of cover the vast majority of dimming applications. These could potentially work for commercial dimmable systems and controls, but we do recommend sending bulb samples in for testing if you are going to be putting it into like maybe a commercial application or putting it with a dimmer that I hadn't mentioned just a second ago. So just know we can certainly do the test on those if you want us to. That's not a problem whatsoever. Now, you can order each of these wattages in 2700. You also have the option of 3000 Kelvin, 3500, or 5000 K. Just know a common question is, where's 4000 K? Well, this is not part of this launch, but we are ready to go once we see the need in the market. So just keep the product manager in tune to if you're seeing some need for that 4000 K. Now, you also see that this lamp has a 22-year life. We're nuts, right? 22-year life. That's double our entry-level A lamp family. This is like one of those lamps you probably don't ever have to think about replacing, quite honestly. And it does come in that retail packaging with the package of 4 SKUs per pack. Now, the lumens range from 450 to 1600 lumens. These lamps have an extremely impressive lumens per watt of 123. It can go into fully enclosed fixtures. However, always ensure you understand the environment is going in. In other words, if you have a max temperature of X, up in the ceiling or inside that fixture could be a lot hotter. So just be careful with that. You want to make sure you keep that in mind 100%. You don't want to forget not to pay attention to that. All right, so here is also all the ordering information for the Double Life A19. If you want to take a quick screenshot of this for the NAID codes, great. Otherwise, on the previous screen, there was a QR code you can also scan. So our next product is a Type C linear LED. But before I get into that one, I wanted to have a little bit of a refresher on the differences between the UL Type A, Type B, Type A+B, and Type C. So as a little reminder, Type A, which we refer to here at LEDVANCE as substitute, it utilizes the existing fluorescent ballast. Think of it as an easy plug and play, but you do need to make sure that the lamp is compatible with the existing ballast. You can do this by going to ledvanceus.com, click on the resources for the ballast compatibility guide, or refer to the spec sheets. It's there. The next one is a Type B. We refer to that as leadlescent, and that connects directly to line voltage, so you don't use that existing ballast as a ballast bypass. Then, of course, you've got the Type A+B, which is dual-essent, and that means that it is compatible with the ballast, assuming you check ballast compatibility, Or you can also do line voltage operation, AKA dual mode, so that the lamp can act as a type A. And then when the ballast fails, instead of having to buy a replacement LED lamp, you simply just bypass the ballast at that point, and you can then use the LED lamp as a type B ballast bypass. This is absolutely wonderful for distributors and maintenance contractors looking for lamps that offer that flexibility of installation with just one design. And especially important if you have ballasts that aren't terribly old, you can get a little bit longer longevity out of your ballast that way. Then, of course, we have the type C. Now, this uses a specific external driver to control the lamps. The question I always get is, when do you use a type C? And my answer always is two things. Number one, if you say you have a school that doesn't have an electrician maybe on staff, and maybe they can't work on the luminaires terribly easily, you could have a type C or a type A plus B or type B that is just an easy replacement. That's one thing, right? So anybody can do it. You don't have to be an electrician to replace lamps. At least I don't think you have to. The other thing is, if you are retrofitting a situation and you're doing any type of controls, a type C is really great for that if you want to stay with some sort of LED tube sort of replacement. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. All right. So moving on. This is what we wanted to talk about first when it comes to one of our type A plus B or type C retrofit here. So first one is an expansion of the substitute family, which now includes T5 lamps, which now also rounds out our substitute type C system. Typically, you're going to find T5 lamps in many offices, schools, common areas, hotels, motels, storage areas, hallways, walkways. Now, while you typically would find more like a T5HO in the big box retail stores, maybe warehouses and other areas where the ceiling heights are typically above 15 feet. Now, these lamps specifically are ETL, FCC, RoHS, and also DLC. DLC is applicable, just keep in mind, for the 4-foot lamps only, because there's no DLC category for 2 and 3 foot T5 type C. Furthermore, these lamps are backed by a 5-year trusted warranty. They are also damp location rated, and they also meet NSF, which are all amazing things. Now, a couple more things to mention. The standard T5 is available in a 2-foot, a 3-foot, and of course the 4-foot that I'm holding, with 8, 10.5, and 13 watts as your options. We also have the 4-foot T5HO, which comes in at 21 watts. These are a frosted glass. They do feature 0 to 10 volt dimming, or you can also use the link compatible driver if you choose to do so. You can certainly do that, which means that now you can have a network lighting control solution, which opens the door to a lot more control strategies, which is amazing. Now, these are available in 3,000, 3,500, 4,100, and 5,000K. And just do remember, these are a kit, right? They're a system. I should say, call it a system, not necessarily a kit, but these are a system. So these lamps run on existing substitute 120 to 277 volt link compatible drivers. Those would be NAID codes 75881 and 75882. These have been updated with an additional dip switch to help with the positioning for the T5HO lamps, by the way, in case you're wondering. Now, the lumen output on the 4100K, they range from 1100 all the way up to 1890 for the T5 and 3025 lumens for the T5HO. Now, most standard fluorescent T5HOs, just to put this into perspective, they usually come in at like 5,000 lumens. So you may be saying, well, geez, Lynette, this is only rated for 3,000 lumens. But keep in mind, a traditional T5HO gives you 360 degrees of light. Of course, with this one here, you're getting that more directional light source. And so the 3025 is absolutely an amazing product and enough lumens to be able to replace a typical T5HO, producing 5,000 lumens, but with less lumens, which is amazing, okay? Also, speaking of lumens, the lumens per watt for the 2-foot and 3-foot come in at 125, while the 4-foot comes in at 145, which is one of the highest in the industry. So pretty impressive from that perspective too. So let's talk a little bit more about the features of the T5 substitute. Okay, so one, this does now expand the offering, which previously included 2 to 4 foot T8 and the U-bends. Same two drivers run both the T5 and the existing T8 lamps. For 120 to 277 volt drivers, only the link compatible drivers are still offered. The original non-link were discontinued. So important thing to kind of note. Now, you can also see the other thing that's nice about this product is that there are these RJ11 connectors for 0 to 10 volt standalone and the Blink network lighting controls. You can probably see that better in the picture than if I was trying to hold the one up that I have. But you can pretty much see it clearly in the photo here on your slide. Now, an important feature of this driver, and really an important feature of a Type-C system, is that they have intelligence built in that can basically sense the lamp load. And so it won't overdrive the lamps in an installation should the lamp fail, resulting in a more reliable system performance. So that intelligence basically senses if the lamp's going to overload or be overloaded in the system or overdrive the lamps, and we're going to be able to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, on the next slide, I'm going to talk a little bit more about these switch settings and some additional important technical notes that you guys should be aware of as well. So first, a batch change to the link compatible drivers was released to update software, and also the switch setting labeled to include the 21 watt T5HO. Now, for batch 1 that we had, minimal older inventory exists. So please reach out to customer service if you're placing orders for drivers to be used with T5HO lamps. The second important thing to note is the 1 and 2 lamp driver can run 1 or 2 T5 lamps, except for the 21 watt T5HO lamp, which can only support 1 lamp operation. Number 3 important aspect. For 3 to 4 lamp driver, it can run 3 or 4 T5 lamps, except for the 21 watt T5HO lamp, which I just said earlier. It can only, in this case, support 2 lamp operation. So for 1, 2, the T5 can only operate on 1. And for the 3, 4 lamp driver, it can only support 2 lamp operation. Okay. And lastly, the T5HO is not compatible with 347 drivers. So sorry about that. So those are all the technical notes. Now, there are way too many NAID codes to include for this product. So if you're looking for a specific NAID code, you may want to scan the QR code that you'll find here. It'll take you to the spec sheet. And lastly, remember, Type-C replacement LED lamps offer an amazing benefit from extended performance and efficiencies to controllability. Additionally, since some of these are DLC approved, you do potentially have the opportunity to receive rebates from the utility, which is also an amazing feature as well. All right, another line extension for us are LED linear lamps in the leadlescent LED T8 Slimline, which is of course the UL Type B. These are now available in 4 foot and 6 foot length. These were developed specifically for a replacement for some of our key customers and key end users, but because a lot of people like these, and now because also due to legislation changes, these are available for everybody, which is great. So these are a really great replacement for 4 and 6 foot FA8, T8, and T12 lamps. They operate directly on 120 or 277 volts. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with what the FA8 base looks like, I circled it here on the screen, or you can also look right here. It is this little one right here, kind of the one with the little stubby single pin, okay? Now, keep in mind, these are UL listed, so the UL rating for the existing fixture is not voided even when it is electrically modified. However, the installer must follow the installation instructions included with the lamp. So just make sure they do that and you should be good. Now, these lamps are shatter resistant. They also have that PET coating, which makes them shatter resistant, and they also meet NSF. They are also ETL, RoHS, FCC. They're backed by a 5-year warranty. They are also damp location IP20. DLC, by the way, does not apply to this lamp, as DLC does not have a category. So in case you're wondering about DLC, doesn't exist for this. A few other quick notes is that, one, they have up to 150 lumens per watt. And keep in mind, the max case temperature is up to 167 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, I know that seems high, but you have to be really careful on really hot days. If you're in Arizona or some of those other states that get really super hot, sometimes they can be up in the ceiling, and 167 isn't that far off, isn't that high at the end of the day, especially on those hot, sunny summer days, which are ahead of us very soon. All right, the next product is a new product for us as well. This is the magnetic bar retrofit kit. This is going to be fun. Actually, no, it's not going to be fun at all. Anyway, here we go. So I love this product. I really do. I think it's a really cool product, and I'm going to try to demo how you actually install it. So bear with me on this one. All right, so this is the magnetic bar retrofit kit. Now, a magnetic bar retrofit kit is designed to upgrade existing fluorescent fixtures to obviously a more energy efficient LED solution without having to purchase a brand new luminaire. Think of it as kind of like an in-between option for just an LED replacement lamp and, say, a full retrofit door housing kit. And then what's cool about this is that there's magnetic backing on both the driver. This is the driver. There's magnets all up and down the back of it. And there's also magnets on the back of the LED bars as well, okay? This backing and these magnets allow for a super quick and easy installation without the need to enter the ceiling cavity. And it simply attaches to the existing housing via magnets. And we also recommend using some screws too. Now, this is a super cost-effective option for retrofitting, say, existing troffers, maybe even low bays, even strip fixtures would be completely suitable for this product. These kits can be used in various applications, including offices, commercial spaces, industrial settings, as well as even maybe retail stores. These are also ETL, FCC, RoHS. They are DLC Premium or DLC Standard, depending upon the primary use category. And what we mean by that is that the Magbar retrofit kits are listed as DLC Premium in a linear, ambient, and low bay category. This does require, however, the removal of the lens. So what I mean by that is you guys probably will see a lens right here on the outside of this. This is what it looks like when the lens is removed, okay? So there's no lens. How I found to do this is that you kind of stick your finger underneath. Well, first of all, you got to take the cap off. There's a cap right here that pops off. Once you take the cap off, then you can get your fingers underneath, and then you just basically kind of pull it apart, and it just sort of pulls apart pretty easily. So that's the way that you would remove the lens in that type of situation. All right, so to repeat myself one more time, the Magbar retrofit kit to be DLC Premium in a linear, ambient, and low bay category requires the removal of the lens. If using it in a troffer or yeah, I guess a troffer or even like a lay-in type luminaire, you can achieve DLC Standard, and you don't have to remove the lens in that situation. Now, these are TAA compliant, which is great for government projects, and it's all backed also by a 5-year trusted warranty. So the magnetic bars are available in 2 foot, 3 foot, and 4 foot. These are a frosted polycarbonate lens, 0 to 10 volt dimming with 120 to 347 operation. They are standard 80 CRI, but we do have a 90 CRI available as a made to order or purchase to order. They are available in selectable CCT ranging from 3,500 you can pick from, 4,000 or 5,000 K. The drivers now, the magnetic bars, the drivers, there's 3 drivers total that go with this. And the options are for 1 to 3 bars, 2 to 4 bars, or 3 to 4 bars. So this is the driver. So separate part number for the driver versus the light bars. Now, depending upon the system, the wattage is selectable. They range from all the way from 13 to 60 watts. Lumens range from 1,820 to 9,600, just depending upon what system you're using. And these do come in at around 140 up to 160 lumens per watt too. So really efficient as well. All right, so let's go ahead and get into how the magnetic bar retrofit installs. And it is actually really super simple. So first you want to ensure you shut the power off to the fixture to avoid any electrical hazards. Then you're going to want to take out the existing lamps, remove the ballast cover if there is one present, disconnect the incoming power from the ballast, remove the ballast if necessary. You may not have to. For instance, in this particular one, I've got enough room where I can easily still put this in there and still have plenty of room for the other one. So you can just bypass it if you choose to do so. And then after you have all that done and you've removed your tombstone, so I started doing that in this one, you remove all that stuff. Then at that point, you are now ready to take your driver here. Make sure you select whether or not you want 1, 2, or 3. 1 is 13 watts, 2 is 17 watts, 3 is 20 watts, at least on this particular one that I'm holding. And also ensure that you select the correct CCT2. So 1 is 3,500K, 2 is 4,000K, 3 is 5,000K. And then you can just take this and put it right in here like so. It does a nice job of magnetizing itself to the housing of the existing fixture, but we do also require you or recommend that you also screw it in place too, just to ensure it stays put. Then, of course, you're going to want to make your electrical connections. I already did mine just to save a little bit of time in this video. And I do also actually have this wired into a cord so that I can turn it on for you. Once you have that completed, then you're going to take the wire harnesses that we have here. In this case, I have 4. In the event that I use all 4 of the light bars, I'm not going to. For this strip fixture, I'm just going to use 2 of them. So what usually would happen is that these are going to kind of work their way up to where the existing tombstones were. So just sort of pull them through like so on both sides. Once you have those kind of positioned where you need them, make sure everything else is buttoned up. Again, you can keep the driver in there if there's the existing ballast in there if there's room. Otherwise, you can take it out. Make sure your luminaire and fixture is all grounded. You want to make sure that's all buttoned up and all the electrical's done. This is where you need an electrician. So earlier I said you don't need an electrician at all. You do need an electrician when you go to install it from a driver perspective and adding power to it. But after that point, and you have the power all ready to go, then at that point, you really don't need an electrician anymore. So if you ever have maybe a light bar that goes out, it's an easy replacement. So at this point, for this particular fixture, I need to put the little cover on just so that we button everything up. Everything looks good. Make this so that it's all solid. Got all that taken care of. Now it's time for the light bar. So as I mentioned, what I will be mentioning is in some cases you may need to keep the lens on it. Sometimes you don't need to have the lens. I'll talk about that when I start talking about DLC. The other thing I just wanted to mention too is that there is, for the power coming into this, these just unplug. So they're really simple to just plug right back in. Sometimes they'll unplug when you remove the uncap. It's simple, just plug it back in, you're good. So you either can keep the lens on or you can take it off depending upon what DLC you need to achieve and what kind of application it's going into. Otherwise, you take one of the magnetic bars and then take the second one, because in this case, I want to use 2 and just position it right in like so. Again, magnets on the back, but we do recommend that you still use the little notches that are here. Put a screw in there just to make sure they don't go anywhere. You can tell this is pretty solid, but still good practice is to use a screw as well, or a couple screws. Then at that point, all you need to do is connect the wire harness. Pretty simple. It's just a simple plug and play like so. And then what you'll want to do is kind of button this up a little bit, sort of stuff these back in here. You can do that. I'm not going to do that on this particular video, but you can kind of stick them back in there and they'll kind of snake their way back in just so that you don't have all these wires kind of haphazard on the side. And that's really all that it takes to do this. Keep in mind, I know you may still see my tombstones here at the end. You would remove that. Just for purposes of this video, I was just working from one side, but you would want to remove these other tombstones too, in most cases. Okay, so at this point, you are ready to apply the power, and I will go ahead and do that. And there you go. They're all lit up and they look absolutely beautiful. So that is the installation video. Okay, so moving on, some additional features. and some exciting things to talk about. So number one, there are little notches that you can use for securing it down with the screws that are included, okay? All the magnetic light bars, the drivers, all of that have the magnets on the back, like I showed you. And also, of course, you can't forget, we also have the wattage and CCT selectability. This obviously aids in inventory reduction and greater job site flexibility. There are also connection cables that are included with the driver that allows you to connect 1 to 4 lamps. Now, keep in mind, this one was a 2 lamp. The other 2 things that you saw like this, I just shoved them inside. You just don't use them. So they just kind of get buttoned up inside. You don't even use those 2. But right now, all of those do come with the 4 lamp option, even though I only use 2. There is also an optional EMBB, which also comes with the test button and also quick connectors. And there's also an optional microwave sensor for additional energy savings. That sensor is programmed using dip switches. In the event you do need a sensor, the driver has a white connector cable for that. So it's a really easy plug and play type system. So can't make it any easier than that, that's for sure. Okay. And here are the ordering codes for the lamps and the drivers. Please note, what really sets us apart from the competition is that we have a complete portfolio with multiple wattages, lengths, different light bar quantity options, a full range of 120 to 347 volts. We also have that wattage and CCT selectability, and both sensor and EM options to fully meet any need that the retrofit customer may have if they're doing a retrofit. So pretty exciting product. Let's talk vapor tights. Here it is right here behind me. Now you may be surprised what you see here on the screen. We have all of these vapor tights, and yet we have yet another vapor tight, especially when we already have 4. It seems kind of funny, but there's a reason for it. I'm sure there's a reason for it. Just remember the most recent one before this one was the ILT. Each one of these kind of has its own key feature. The first one that you see listed here, that's kind of more like your entry level one-piece design. While say like the 3A, that one is 3.31 inches wide for the 2 foot and the 4 foot, and a little over 5 inches wide for the 8 foot. The 1A is 10.3 inches wide, and that one is available in 480 volt, plus it goes all the way up to 27,000 lumens. And then of course you got the ILT, which was launched in August of 2024. That one is 4.3 inches wide and has that integrated LED board and lens. So everything detaches from the body in one piece, making installation a little bit more simple. So what about this new one? So the newest one is the dual selectable wide vapor tight. And this one comes in at 12.1 inches and up to a whopping 40,000 lumens and 155 lumens per watt. So like most vapor tights, they are great for industrial and commercial buildings, such as car washes, manufacturing facilities, shopping centers. They're great also for parking garages, outdoor stairwells, open exposure parking garages. You could also think about putting them in plants and wastewater plants where they have to have a NEMA 4X rating, since this one does have a NEMA 4X rating. And then, of course, I'm going to change my view here. There you go. And then, of course, you've also got some food processing plants, since it is NSF. You can even do transportation hubs, such as like subways or tunnels. We also have cold storage units, such as walk-in coolers. Those are all really great applications for this type of product. Now, this is a UL product, UL listed product, DLC Premium, FCC RoHS. It's also backed by a 5-year trusted warranty. As I mentioned, it is NSF, NEMA 4X, wet location. It does have an IK rating of 0.8. And just as a little refresher, IK rating is basically impact rating. On a scale from 0 to 10, 10 taking the most amount of hit, an 8 is pretty solid. And then of course it also has that IP66. Now there are 4 wattage selectable options to choose from. You've got the 265, the 260, the 135, and 50, with watts ranging from as low as 30 to as high as 265. It is available in 347, 480 volt, as well as 120 and 347 volt. It does have 0 to 10 volt dimming. 3 selectable CCTs, 35, 4,000, and 5,000 K. Either 2 or 4 foot is also available. Lumens range from 4,680 to 40,000 lumens, as I mentioned, up to 155 lumens per watt. The temperature rating, I do like to mention this, it is -40F or 40C, -40C to 122F or 50C. It also has 6 kV of surge protection built in as well. So now let's talk a little bit about some of the other key features. There's a few other things worth mentioning. First of all, wattage and CCT selectability. How you get to that is you're just going to take the lens off with the stainless steel clips that it comes with, and you're going to notice that the switches are right here underneath the lens. Okay, so that's easy to get to for sure. The other thing that I would mention is that from an installation standpoint, it does come with those stainless steel mounting brackets and the clips, and also the chain mount for surface mount. So not only do you have the stainless steel clips, but you also have the stainless steel mounting bracket, the V-hooks for surface or chain mount, which is amazing. You do have medium optics, which is standard, or you can also order this as wide optics too, depending upon what you're like. That's another key feature. I already kind of mentioned the stainless steel clips. That's important. The plastic ones tend to break. So with this one not being plastic, it's perfect. And then when it comes to the housing and the lens, we have that IP66 rating, NEMA 4X rating. It also has that impact rating of IK08. And that just basically says it's going to have a lot of durability. In addition to that, it's also NSF, and it does have that polycarbonate gray backing as well that you can see here. All right, which is also kind of common in vapor tights, definitely. The IK rating, of course, as I mentioned, is going to be beautiful because it's going to be able to take that impact a little bit more. The lens itself too is a durable polycarbonate lens too, with the UV stabilization too. So overall, this provides a really robust design. The other thing that I didn't mention on this one that you'll notice is it has these little reflectors in here that you kind of can see that really helps push that light out to where it needs to go, which is another key feature of this product. So keep that in mind. And then another key feature is the field installable microwave sensor. So this is already installed right here. Keep in mind that this would require an electrician to wire this up. It doesn't take a lot of time, but I do recommend being an electrician to do so. We are working on a different design for this that's going to be controls ready, so anybody can just simply plug in the wire harness and you're good to go. But this one here for right now would require a little bit more work to install it. All right, so that is the vapor tight. Moving on to the NAID codes. Yes, so for the vapor tight, there are also a lot of NAID codes, as you can see here on the screen. If you're looking for a specific one, again, you might want to just scan that QR code. It'll be much better for you than trying to read all of these on the screen right now. So next up, we have the linear high bay. Here we have it right here. So right now, what I did on this particular screen is I did a side-by-side comparison of our two linear high bays that we have today. The 5A, which is available in that 277 to 480 volt, which was just launched this past November. And now we're expanding to the 6A, which now offers 440 watts. And that's a 1x2, 66,000 lumens and 2 fixed CCTs of either 4,000K or 5,000K. Just like the rest of the family, you can choose between wide or aisle lens. It is a polycarbonate lens, and you do have a made-to-order EMBB. The accessories do include a wire guard, the surface mount, pendant mount brackets. They do come with the V hooks in a nice little baggie right here. And then 3-foot mounting chains too. It's also available in 120 to 347, as well as 277 to 480. It is controls ready, so anyone can add either a standalone or a network lighting control solution. You've seen this a lot of times, I know, but we'll show it again for the heck of it. This is a standalone PIR sensor. Make sure you remove the little white protector on the back of that. You simply screw it in. If you like the factory default settings on it, you're done. If you don't and you want to make a change, you've got to buy the remote control to make changes. Otherwise, if you don't want to go with the standalone control solution, you can easily add a network lighting control solution. Make sure you don't forget the adapter. Then make sure you buy the appropriate network lighting control solution, attach the two together, and again, simply screw it into like that, and you're done. So super easy product as well, which I love easy. Now this product can achieve 150 lumens per watt. It does have that 6 kV of surge protection and is UL certified, DLC premium, FCC, RoHS, and is backed by a 5-year trusted warranty. So just again, to kind of drive this home just a little bit more, key takeaway for this product, 440 watt high bay, impressive 66,000 lumens. It can be mounted pretty high. Keep in mind, if you are going to mount it at a really high height, watch what sensor you're using. In case you kind of forget, sensors do have a detection pattern. If you mount it too high, it's not going to do a good job of covering the area that you need. So just be careful. Otherwise, if you're just getting the product, the luminaire itself, you're fine. You can mount say up to 40 feet if you choose to. It is also that compact design, which helps reduce shipping and storage costs. And of course, it does have the V-hooks and the 3-foot mounting chain, which comes in handy when you're installing it. And the controls ready feature is also amazing for standalone or network lighting controls. Here is the ordering information on those new 440 watt. You will see that some of them are the wide lens, some of them are the aisle lens. That's the reason why we have that. All right, I'm really excited to talk about this next product. This is yet another great addition to our Opti Select family. I just wanted to show this slide briefly again for a little side-by-side comparison of the current flood that we have versus the new one. You'll notice that the watts are the same, but the lumen output is just slightly higher on the existing flood. The sizes are similar and they both come with flex mounts. There's also an optional yoke mount accessory available if you need that. The new one is just slightly lower lumens per watt, but what makes this new product absolutely outstanding is the fact that you can change your beam angles in the field without opening the luminaire. No lens swap necessary. So let's dig a little bit deeper into this product. Let me go ahead and grab it. I always get scared when I grab these. I never know if they're going to crash. All right, here we go. I'm going to balance it here as I'm talking. All right, so first of all, this is really great for multiple outdoor applications, especially where you need to flood the area with light. These are UL. They are also, what else are they? FCC, RoHS. They are backed by a 5-year trusted warranty, IP65 and wet location rated. These also feature both Opti Select and Flex mounts. There are 5 sizes each, featuring 3 wattage selectable options, ranging from as low as 15 watts to as high as 470 watts. These are available in 120 and 347 volts, as well as 277 to 480. So amazing job covering the voltages that we need. They also feature 3 selectable CCTs, 3000K, 4000K, 5000K. The beam can be adjusted in the field from 55 to 75 to 90 degrees. On the 300 watt and 470 watt products, those do have an additional narrow beam angle version, and that would be selectable for 25, 30, or 35 degree. Again, those only on the 300 and the 470 watt products. They do have a bronze housing, and the smaller versions have an integrated photo cell that can be switched on or off. You're going to find that on this one. The switch is located right underneath here. Actually, there's a couple of things that are located underneath this bottom switch. Not only do you have the on off for the photo sensor, but you also have your selectability right here too. And then you also have your wattage you can choose from too. So that's all located right underneath. And then there's just a little nice cover cap that goes on as well. Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention with this one is that the higher power versions do have the 3-pin NEMA receptacle with the shorting cap that many of you are familiar with some, say, some of our area lights or some of our other floodlights. The lumens do range from as low as 2,175 up to 68,150, and also an impressive 105 lumens per watt. All amazing. They also have a built-in 6 kV of surge protection. And again, just to kind of drive this home one more time, up to 145 lumens per watt, multiple sizes too. So all really great features for this product besides the Opti Select. Now, in order to change the beam angle, you simply use a dip switch on the 30 watt, the 60 watt, and the 140 watt. I do have the smaller version here. There is another little knockout right here. I already have it loosened up. And then you're going to find inside here another little dip switch that allows you to choose what beam angle you want. All right, so 55, 75, 90 on the 30, 60, and 140 watt. For the higher wattage or high power versions, the 300 watt and the 470 watt, those do have a narrower beam angle version where you can adjust the beam from 25 to 30 to 35. And those, of course, are made to order, which I briefly mentioned on the previous slide. There's also an integrated photocell that can be disabled. As I mentioned on this one, there's just an on-off switch on the 30, 60, and 140 watt models. Of course, on that 300 watt and 400 watt or 470 watt model, you do have the 3-pin NEMA receptacle with the shorting cap that comes with it. And of course, you can always purchase the optional photocell as a separate accessory for those higher wattages. As I mentioned, these are wattage and CCT selectable. That obviously aids in inventory reduction, greater job site flexibility. This product also features flex mount. You have 2 mounting options inside the box, which allows for easy installation. On the 30 and 60 watt wattages, it ships with a 1/2-inch knuckle and trunnion. On the 140 watt, the 300 watt, and the 470 watt, those ship with a slip fitter and trunnion. There's also the optional yoke mount available too. Now, on a side note, the 140 watt yoke is different from regular products. All the others use the same yoke mount as the regular non-OptiSelect floodlight. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right, I'm going to set this down and we are going to talk just a little bit more about the product. So what I wanted to do on this slide is just show you the various beam angles and what to expect as far as coverage goes. This is showing the 150 watt, the 140 watt mounted at 20 feet with a 45-degree tilt. You can see the 55-degree is providing more of a spot of about 20-foot candles near the building. And then that's going to spread out about 50 feet on either side of the luminaire, while the 75 and 90-degree does not show that much focus and concentration that close. It's going to be about 10-foot candles near the building, but they are going to spread the light out about 60 feet on either side of the luminaire, and the 90-degree is slightly even more than that. Additionally, the 75 and 90-degree are going to push more light out further away from the building too. So just kind of keep in mind when you're trying to determine what's my best solution and what beam spread should I have, think about the application and figure out how far you got to push the light and how far the spacing is from one to the other as well. And of course, here is your NAID codes for all of those new floodlight OptiSelects. Select, otherwise you can always scan the QR code that was found on the previous page as well. Now, one more thing I want to talk about before we get to our last poll question. So the last thing I want to talk about, many of you are familiar with our OptiSelect area light. We wanted to let you know that the current version that we have is that mechanical switch where you have to take a straight head screwdriver and twist. We're actually moving to an electronic switch instead. The main difference, there's 2 of them actually, between the mechanical, what we've had, and the new electronic switch. Number 1, with the mechanical switch version, you need to have a straight head screwdriver to change the distribution. With, of course, the new electronic switch, you just have to move the switch with your finger. It's a dip switch, just like kind of what I showed you with the floodlight and some of these others. And then the second thing that's really important is the mechanical version. Internally, there are 2 sets of lenses and they move, which provides the different distributions. You can visually see that happening as you're moving, as you have the screwdriver in there and you're twisting. With the electronic version, there are actually separate sets of LEDs, and depending upon where the switch is positioned, the driver then controls the LED chips, allowing for different distributions based on that. So that's kind of where that electronic version sort of comes from. But I really like the dip switch idea because it does clearly identify exactly what distribution you need. And then the coolness is you don't have those boards moving anymore. Instead, the driver and the chips are working together to make that happen. And then there is also no NAID code change for this. There's no spec sheet changes. Everything remains the same. All we've done is just updated the switch. Our advantage, by the way, in the industry, keep in mind, our products ship with the flex mount. Our area light also has that multiple mounting in the box. That's why we call it flex mount. It also controls, it's controls ready right out of the box, easily adding either standalone or network lighting controls. And it also ships with that standard 7-pin NEMA receptacle, which is also a critical part of it as well. Don't forget to also scan the QR code, especially LEDVANCE employees. If you're on this call, even though you participated maybe in the poll questions, please do scan this QR code, answer the questions. It should be super easy for you now that you know the answers. Scan it real quick, get it done. Don't have to come back to it.